I apologize a little bit for my voice getting over a cold taking place here. So I apologize for my voice being not quite what it normally is. Now we gather together today as we continue walking through the book of Acts, the book of God's actions and his work through the disciples as he goes forward, most notably Peter and then Paul. Saul became Paul. However, throughout all this, we also see again and again and again the sprinkling of all of the work that's taking place. Luke does not want to give us an impression that here you have Peter and that was it, Paul and that was it, these two wonderful, incredible apostles, but that's it. Those are his focuses. But he wants to go again and again and again to show that while you've got these two big guys, you have Peter, you have Paul, and all the things that took place. We see so much of what is going on in the church that it was taking place all over the place by everybody. That's what we see at the beginning here. And here we have this again, the Lord at work. Now, the woman's name here is Dorcas. Verse 36. Now, there was in Joppa a disciple named Tabitha, which translated means Dorcas. Now, in Joppa, a disciple. Now, this is the Greek word here for disciple. This is the first and only time in the New Testament that we find the word for female disciple. Now, disciple is usually all encompassing. So usually it's encompassing the whole group. So the 120 at the beginning of Acts, you had Mary, you had Martha, you had the 12 disciples, all included there. And they were the disciples. But there is a female form of it, the female disciple. This is the only time that word is used in the New Testament. You really don't find a direct word in the Old Testament in Hebrew. And so here she was a disciple. The point being here, she was special. And how she lived and how she acted, everybody said she is a follower of Jesus. And they knew that intimately, exceptionally. This is the way that it is. And so a special word just for her out of the entire New Testament. She was a disciple named Tabitha, which translated means Dorcas. She was full of good works and acts of charity. You notice the order that's here. She was a disciple, meaning she had faith, she followed the Lord. And so, what does that then mean? She was full of good works and acts of charity. So, by the faith God gave to her, her whole life was a reflection of what God had done for her. And when we get to tomorrow, that's what we're really going to be seeing how the Lord is at work and shows forth his glory in her life, in her death, and as it comes forward, restoring her to life again. The Lord is working through her as the female disciple to share the word to all of those in her life, in her actions, in the work God does in her. Now, she was full of good works and acts of charity. Good works, works towards one another, acts of charity, helping those that are destitute, those that are not able to help at all. Very much a description of mercy to other people around her. She was full of showing forth God's mercy, the mercy that's been given to us by Jesus going to that cross on our behalf. Now, verse 37. In those days, she became ill and died. And when they had washed her, they laid her in an upper room. So they took care of her, and this is just the normal procedure when somebody had passed away in that culture. Later in the upper room, then people could come immediately within a very short period of time and give their last respects. And that's what we see here in the last verse for today, verse 38. Since Lydia was near Joppa, The disciples, hearing that Peter was there, sent 2 men to him, urging him, "Please come to us without delay." So, knowing evidently all of her works, all of this going on was known by the Christians throughout the area, known by the disciples. So, the disciples that were there, followers of Jesus, then sent to the Peter, were sending to the apostles nearby, "Please come and pay your last respects." They're not expecting the blessing that's going to come that we'll see tomorrow. But when we give it over to the Lord and say, "Lord, let's just do the next right thing, and you will take care of us." And he does. May we, throughout our life, in the life of the church, rest upon what the Lord gives and grants. In his holy name.